Hi, welcome to Exquisite You. My name is Dhrumil and this is an initiative by Aries. Today we are going to be in conversation with one of the most prolific doctors of our country, Dr. Jaideep Malhotra. She runs her own clinic for so many decades in Agra. It is called Rainbow IVF, and there is no state in the world where she hasn't been. Her achievements are up till the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Jaideep Malhotra. And it is such an amazing opportunity to have you, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here.
मैम, दुनिया का कोई भी ऐसा स्टेज नहीं है जहां पे आप नहीं पहुंचे हो, जहां पे आपकी बात नहीं पहुंची है। और आपकी बात बड़ी बेसिक सी बात है कि बेसिक चीजें ठीक होनी चाहिए, और दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा से बड़ा प्लेटफॉर्म आप उन बातों को कहने के लिए यूज करते हैं। Tell us something about it. How does it feel?
I think I feel very satisfied because now I've reached a stage with more than 40 years into, helping women, looking after them, and so many other things apart from my profession. And the journey has been amazing. Mm-hmm. When I look back, I sometimes feel, oh, how could I do it? But then also I look back and I think when I was actually going through all the phases in my life, right from childhood onwards, the only thing which I saw was where is my focus? So I never saw the path which I walked. I only knew where I have to reach. And I never actually had the ambition to reach there. I was also enjoying the journey. Wow. And that was something which now when I look back, I understand what I had done. But at that point of time, I really didn't understand. And I kept on small targets. Achha, ab ye karte, ab ye karte, ab ye karte, and trying to achieve them. And rest, everything, whatever you said today, it just fell in place. I never thought it was like I was meant to be where I am.
Wow.
So it's incredible. I also myself feel very incredible about it, because when you really don't have the stress to achieve anything, this is how you feel.
Wow. Does it happen someday when you're just sitting home, in a leisure time with a cup of a coffee, and you pat your back saying that, wow, you're going to leave a good legacy?
It never happened to me before, but in the past few years, the more I think about it, the more feel good factor is there. But I don't think I can rest because I still feel there's lots to do.
There's lots to do, and we need more from you.
Yeah, that's true.
Ma'am, we are pretty much aware about your public life, and of course we are going to discuss that in the later part of the podcast as well. But I'm interested to know about your childhood. How was it like, and what were the values that you were given as a kid?
Yeah, it's a story because, my father was in Air Force. Mm-hmm. So he used to get transferred. So my mother was expecting my younger brother, and my grandmother came. We were in Delhi at that time. I was studying in Springdales, a lovely school, a lovely childhood. And it just so happened that it was, these Navratras. Mm-hmm. So everyone worships the girls. So my neighbors called. I was about 8 years old. Neighbors called. After that, neighbors, next. So I went and I came back in the night with hundreds of puris and some 2 rupees ka 10 paisa ka change. I thought I had earned a lot. And my daddy was at the gate because I didn't realize they were worried because I had gone in the morning and I was not there. She packed my bags and she said, I'm taking you with me. And she scolded my mother that you can't look after the girl. And it changed my life. Mm-hmm. Because then she brought me to Meerut, where I then completed my rest of the schooling. And I was brought up by my grandparents in the most formative years. And my grandfather was the one who he also had army background, a very disciplined man and a very self-made man. My grandmother had eczema, so she couldn't cook. And so I actually transformed into a complete girl I mean, I was very good in studies, very good in sports. I got a lot of encouragement from my principal and, sports captain, first girl captain of a co-ed school. And apart from that, cooking at home, because I never wanted to eat bread and dal, which was cooked every night. So I said, I'll cook myself. So it was like, and I would say very modern upbringing, because you're never told not to do anything. If I tell you one story, like one day as soon as I came to Meerut, I was actually in my previous school going to get some prizes.
Okay.
And Dadi didn't wait for me. She said, oh, pack your bags, we are going today. And when I came to this school, annual function was happening. So I was very disturbed. And no annual function participation and everything. So one day, I just took out one book from we had lots of books in our house, a new looking book. Okay. And I wrote down, first prize in elocution to Jaideep. And I came back with the book and I told my grandfather that this is a prize I got in elocution. Can you imagine now this man? Okay, which poem did you recite? I told some name. Can you recite it for me? Obviously, I didn't know. I forgot in between. And then he said, oh, very nice, it's okay. But I think, this book, there's something like this in our bookshelf. So go and check. And if you don't find, keep this book there. He did not tell me that you're lying. And that was the last lie in my life that I ever told. So this was a kind of upbringing which, with a lot of values to make you do your own work, but if you're not able to do, encouraging, and then never saying no, but always logical.
True.
Like one day I said, I don't want to go to school. Why you don't want to go to school? I am a bio student, maths ka test hai, I don't want to go. And I was very good in maths, 100%. So my grandfather said, okay, don't go. We had a huge kitchen garden. So we had to do like a hand pump, watering. So he said, "ठीक है, मत जाओ, आज watering करते हैं." I packed my bag and I went to school because that was one job I really hated. So
you'd rather go to school.
I'd rather go to school. So this was like, the kind of upbringing which was there. Very, very encouraging. And I tried the same with my children. I was half successful, but I mean, when I look back, it was beautiful. Really beautiful.
I think the true potential of an X factor comes out when you let the person be who they are.
Exactly.
Give them those equal opportunities that you give it to the other gender or the other chromosome.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant. But then you happen to marry a man from the same profession. And they say कि अगर दोनों लोग same profession से है तो बर्तन टकराते हैं घर में. Never find somebody from your own field because two ambitious people in a house are a no-no. Yeah. Tell me, is this a myth? Did you have a struggleful journey or how was it?
No, I think you need to set your equations right. And this also comes from the upbringing. So, we were in the same college right from third year onwards. So we knew each other. Both of us were very good in sports. And by the time we decided that, that's the way we are going to move forward, I knew my husband came from a family of gynecologists. His mother, father, grandfather, they were all like, they had a hospital. So I knew what their expectations were from me. And, at that time, it was like a poor world. We used to get like 450 rupees as an internship salary, 600 rupees in house job. So when it was time for us to decide that we need to do post-graduation, we got married when we were as interns only, very young. I was 22 only. So my husband said, you do gynae and I will do surgery. I said, why you will do surgery? So I'll become a registrar. You have a different thought process. I'll become a registrar. Registrar gets like, 9,000 salary and you as a postgraduate will get 7,000 rupees. So it will be good going. I said, what after that? I will be like, I used to not like gynae, honestly speaking. I wanted to do pediatrics.
Okay.
So I said, I'm not going to get up every night and, keep on delivering those babies. So we need to have a deal now. Either we both do it or you do and I'll do pediatrics, because that's also a good combination. So, then ultimately we both landed up doing, because, and it was very tough for him, because we were in a Muslim university, Aligarh Muslim University. All the professors discouraged him. They said, none of these women will come and show you. What will you learn here? But now the man was really settled. He said, no, I will do whatever I learn. I'll go and my mother will teach me. But it was fantastic. And I think that was the best decision in our life.
Wow.
Because it was so complementary. Of course, there were a lot of adjustments to be made, because both of us were equally ambitious. And, then we had children you had to look after. So, I mean, there's no competition at home. It's only complementing. And the whole house was also adjusted like this. It was like a round the clock. One person has to keep awake through the day. So we had like my father-in-law, mother-in-law. Father-in-law would get up early in the morning. I was a late night person. Husband would get up in the morning. And my mother-in-law, would do through the days. And everyone knew their job. We never had to tell anyone that, this is something which you have not done, or this is what you're supposed to do. Because if one person is not there, the other would take over. And that was really, really fantastic, because that really gave us, to achieve what we achieved coming from a very small town. Agra is a small town, and there never was, I would say, any president of any organization at that point of time from Agra.
True.
Later on, a lot of people became. And there never was, like, nobody would dream that, okay, from one family, 2 people will become or head so many organizations. I think it was only because of the well-oiled teamwork.
Absolutely.
Which was fantastic.
They say you need to have an amazing home team to get you going and
Yeah.
reach wherever you want to.
Yeah.
You have another generation of doctors as well in your family.
Yes.
So I think it's very rare when you have more than 4 generations
Fourth
now.
generation, yes.
The 4th generation of doctors. I doubt if there is any family like this in our country.
Yeah, I think the Purandare is from Bombay.
Okay.
That again is a huge family of doctors. It's there. But, coming from smaller towns and achieving is a very different story, because the challenges are very different. The politics is very different. And, but I think it's only straightforward, honest and transparent life. I feel that way, which has helped us achieve. And it's not only organizations. I feel very happy in the sense that, both of us, like when we got married, my mother-in-law always used to say, "Arey, like you've done your MD. Ek jana to jakar MRCOG kar lo." And my husband said, no, I don't want to study. And I already had one small child. I said, I can't do it. Can you believe it? Like years later, we never realized. Both of us got honorary fellowship of the Royal College. Wow. I got honorary fellowship of the Royal College of UK and also Ireland, which was a huge, huge thing for anyone to achieve. And it just comes and it falls in your lap, because people recognize your contributions.
Which is so amazing. And your contribution are just not limited to our country. You have been part of policy formations, which I think is right, being there on the top to bring about a change. Because how much ever we try, ma'am, to bring about small changes, we always have to be dependent on somebody to execute it. But when you actually form a policy, that's a very powerful position.
I would not really look at it that way. I feel that, it was the length and the breadth of the country which I actually had covered during my journey, because we set up number of IVF clinics all over the country, even in the neighboring country of Nepal, Bangladesh. We had lot of trainees, and I was traveling like, all small, and all these clinics were in tier 2. So you understand their challenges. So I feel because of all the experiences which I had, I could contribute to the policy making, because most of the times what happens is that people who are sitting and trying to do these policy making, they actually are coming from metros, so they don't know the ground realities. So I felt I was privileged enough to contribute and show them the real stories of the real India. I always used to say that it's a tale of 2 countries. One is totally rural and the other is urban. Today we are bridging those gaps.
True.
But 30 years or 40 years before, it wasn't the same.
It wasn't the
There
same.
is a huge difference now.
So true. I remember while I was researching about you, you delivered the first IVF baby of UP. You delivered thousands of IVF babies in Nepal. And to form India's IVF policy, you were a big part of that team. Tell us, what nitty-gritties did you take care which would help the country while you were forming the policy?
See, first thing which is very important for me, I feel that every woman deserves what you and I deserve. So that's something which is very, very important, because if somebody is coming from a smaller town, it doesn't mean that she should not get the best. So that's where, we moving to the different cities or Nepal, because Nepal didn't have an IVF center, and many other these tier 2 cities didn't have. Now, it just by luck it so happened that when all these ART bills and all, we were involved with a lot of guideline making right from the beginning itself.
Okay.
But when this bill was going to come up, I actually was heading the Indian Society of Assisted Reproduction, and there were many fallacies in the bill which I felt, that women are really going to suffer, because the changes in the bill and the law were basically based on that, okay, there is exploitation of the donors or the surrogates, and that's why all these changes are coming up. But I was feeling totally otherwise. I actually, in fact, I have so many hundreds of stories, personal stories, which I can relate with, where I know women are going to suffer. And I really wanted people to know. But I feel it's a man's world, even today, honestly speaking, because people are not thinking about women. Because when this bill came up, surrogacy was banned. And the donors, this thing was totally curbed. And I was thinking, now here is a whole lot of population of women who are not going to be able to, have a baby because of this bill. They are going to be exploited, because what is going to happen? Men are going to remarry, or illegitimate children will be there. Lot of things, illegal, unethical things will start again, which we had curbed with the guidelines so much. So we, I went for representation to the Ministry of Health number of times actually. In fact, the drafting of the whole bill was done by our organization, with our lawyer, with myself. I personally did a lot of things, but unfortunately, whatever we had suggested, not everything was accepted. And once that was not accepted, I'm not going to take it lying down. So we went and we represented again. And in fact, I presented in front of the Standing Committee of Parliament. We had 37 MPs, and can you believe in them there was not even a single woman. So here you're presenting the cause of women
Without a representation.
Without a representative, trying to understand what is going to happen in the times to come. But anyway, we did whatever best could be done. A lot of things the government actually understood, and they, some amendments are made. And a lot is going on also, because I know my friends now who are coming after me are also struggling and juggling with the same. So it's a long battle.
It's a long battle, and I'm sure change is going to come eventually.
Yes.
Because voices like yours needs to be raised. I remember this one incident when you actually disrupted the health ministry, saying that this can't happen.
I know.
And the health ministry says, ma'am, changes don't come this way. We actually have to get it in the House of Parliament. And then you called up many MPs and MLAs saying that please discuss this. It's an important issue. I think we need people like that.
Yeah, because this was the Oxytocin.
Okay.
Suddenly one day, this Oxytocin is a life-saving drug which we use for delivery and in labor to stop bleeding. And suddenly one day, notice comes that retail sale of Oxytocin is banned. And everyone, like we have about 38,000 members, we have about 100,000 gynecologists, and everyone is so used to the drug. And this is saving lives. There is an alternative available, but the alternative was very expensive. And why banning the retail sale? Because supposing if somebody delivers on the way, to the hospital and is bleeding and cannot reach, if the retail shop does not have that drug, so many women are going to die. So we went to the Ministry of Health again and we said, no, this is not done. If the transition has to happen, it should happen slowly. Nobody is listening because they had their own pressures, and I don't know from where all those pressures were coming. And then when we were walking out, after explaining all that, they said, ma'am, I think it's better that you try and raise it in the Lok Sabha.
Okay.
And you have only 24 hours because the session was starting next day. And I'm driving from Agra, from Delhi to Agra, and it was like 7:30 in the evening till about 12. By the time I reached, I was ringing up as many people I knew, and I could actually convince one of the members of the Lok Sabha, and I said, please raise this. And you know, his wife happened to be a gynecologist, so he understood.
Wow.
So within 24 hours, this question was raised in the Lok Sabha. I forgot about it because I was so busy next day, you know, putting all the statements and everything in place. And I come back, now look, this is coincidence. I come back home, I just switch the TV on, there's Lok Sabha TV, and that particular person is talking about, can you imagine the coincidence? And I was, oh God, wow, you know, it was amazing. And, you know, then history was created. Similarly for cesarean sections, similarly for hysterectomy, save the uterus, a lot of voices have been raised, you know, number of times, because I feel doctors are a real soft target.
Yeah.
So it's very, very easy for, you know, people to push us. But our training is so strong, and sometimes, you know, our upbringing like mine is so strong that we are very persistent. No, we can't take it. You know, we will fight for it.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
Is politics on cards sometime?
No.
Maybe a Rajya
I don't
Sabha
think, no,
invitation?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this is something which I am basically now diverting my life into. I have adopted 2 villages nearby our city.
Okay.
And looking after, like, each village has about 18,000 population, 9,000 are women. So I'm looking after their health. Last 3 years from Rotary I have taken this project up. And there are many other things. I have this app which I told you. So my aim is now to, you know, just empower women in the best possible way.
Can you tell us about the app? Because I've got to know it's got to this very popular show on television, wherein you raise money. It's also reached the G20 summit. It's won some award for being one of the best startups.
Yeah, see, I'm a 3rd generation obstetrician.
Right.
So, you know, you've delivered mothers, you've delivered daughters, daughter-in-laws in a short span of time. Then you see all those children growing up, and every journey is different. So I knew, like, you know, a mother's atmosphere when she is carrying a baby is different, and that has a lot of impact on how this child is going to come up, whether it's personality or, you know, their health. Like, if I say, okay, why am I obese, or why somebody else is thin, why there's so much diabetes, why there's so much cardiac problems in our country, and if I tell you that the foundation is laid in the mother's womb, it is that important. So what a mother goes through, it's not only the atmosphere around the house or, you know, the domestic violence and all, but the nutrition what she gets, the stress what she has, leads to a lot of gene expression. So this was happening, you know, and I was experiencing it for the 30 years. And when I got the opportunity as the president of Foxy, I was sitting with Sister Shivani from Brahma Kumaris. I'm very close to her. So I was telling her, I said, Didi, I want to do this program. Now, Brahma Kumaris don't believe in this because, you know, they have a different concept. But they believe in Garbh Sanskar. So we just sat down and we said, no, I'll do something on pregnancy, because the president of Foxy, Women's Health. And so we coined this project called Abbut Matwa. And then we worked around the whole SOPs on how we're going to do it together. And it wasn't going to happen. We have to understand India is a big country. Right. And you are their president only for 1 year. How much can you do? Where is the impact going to come from? So I thought, I said, let me train some pharma company medical reps because they keep on going all around. So, you know, we trained some reps from the pharma companies, we trained nurses, we created, like with the Brahm Kumaris, we did huge camps of patient awareness on the Abbut Matwa, this thing. And then the project went off very well. We trained doctors on the two aspects. Now, I got real challenges I faced during the project because people said that, you know, you're making the organization like, you know, spiritual. And I said, there is no science without spirituality. And that's something which we all have to amalgamate and then move forward, because the impact is then 5 times. Because patients also feel, oh, these doctors, you know, are going through that channel. Plus, the impact which was there. Now, the long-term consequences are going to be seen after 20 years, not
That's
today. Because when these children will be born, their personalities, their diseases, India today is the obesity capital of the world. India today is the diabetic capital of the world. India today has the largest number of preterm births. And we, you know, cardiac problems in our country come 10 years before any other country. So there's something which we are not doing right.
True.
That's for sure. And nobody is putting thoughts into it. So this program takes care of all that. So we launched this program. And when I launched, how many camps can I do? How many people can I train? The next step was the app. So we started the app. And as luck would have it, I always say, angels walk with me. Because whenever I'm in trouble, somebody will come, help me out, and you know, I'm through. So when I was thinking about this, I met 2 young boys from IIT Banaras, and they said, ma'am, they heard me in one of the conferences during my lecture. We want to work on this project. I said, why not? I also want to work on this project. So, you know, it just fell into place. So we started developing the app, and we applied for COVID came. So now innovation again. We started doing sessions on the app like yoga, meditation in the morning. In the evening, I started calling all the doctors from all over the country. That was a privilege I had of knowing people because I traveled so much.
True.
So every day one doctor from any state or any city would come, 1 hour session, kept all those women pregnant engaged in COVID. Because they were having so many issues, what to do, I'm having pain or I'm having bleeding, which hospital to go. And it was a huge hit. During that period, we got the Pradhan Mantri's Atmanirbhar App Challenge Award for the app.
Wow.
And that, you know, brought in some money. We had no money. Then, you know, the little funding started. And later on, we got very good funding after that. And we are now growing up. So pregnancy and parenting. So we added parenting in the app. Then very recently, we applied for the Shark Tanks and got an invitation. So we were on the Shark Tanks in January this year. And after that, the popularity of the app also, I never thought, you know, it's going to exponentially increase so much. And again, very recently in the G20 startups, we got an invitation from the government of India that, you know, we've chosen your app as one of the 50 to be represented and showcased in the G20 event. This was just 2 weeks back. So it's been a journey. But as I said, we have about 40 million births in our country. We have only reached out to about 8 lakh women. So it's a huge ground which I have to really cover and my team has to cover. But I'm sure we're going to be there.
You will. I'm
Yes.
very sure about it. Ma'am, you've also produced some films on the awareness of women's health.
Yeah.
Please tell us about this amazing approach.
You know, I always felt very incomplete because when I'm in the clinic and, you know, consulting, there's so many things I want to tell the patient, but there's no time. So I started with some clubs and some, you know, where we could do mass education. I could only reach in a few. And then suddenly it just cropped in my mind that why can't I make like, you know, small short documentaries. And all these films which I made actually are on very key women's health topics and issues, or maybe doctor-patient relationship. And they're all real lifetime experiences.
Wow.
Which is so all these 6 of them I have made till now. I'm making another one now on environment and fertility. So the first one was when, the doctor-patient relationship was at a real low. And Doshi Kaun was the film which I made, because if the patient is coming to the hospital late, she's already in a bad shape, and if you can't save her, the target is the doctor. They just come and break the hospital. So the film was named Doshi Kaun. Then on population, Gali Mein Dhak. Again, it was a real-time story, because of competition between 2 families on whose children are going to be more and be seen in the gully. गली में मेरी धाक होनी चाहिए, सब जगह मेरे बच्चे दिखने चाहिए,
वो बच्चों को लेके होनी चाहिए.
So that was the story which was there. Then I made one on, because I'm an infertility specialist, so I see women suffering all the time. So this film was named मैं बांझ नहीं हूँ, because half of the times the man is responsible, but the brunt is borne by the women. So that story was again based on, like, a man comes with 2 wives, one on each side. I can distinctly remember a very huge tall man with the monkey cap, and he says, this is my first wife, she didn't have a baby, so I was forced to marry the second time. This is my second wife, and she already has 1 child from a previous marriage, she's a divorcee. Now we don't have children again. I said, did you get your test done? No, I'm a man, there's nothing wrong with me. So these are all real-time experiences which, the films were. And then there was Meri Marzi on contraception. And when Abbut Matwa came, I made one film on Abbut Matwa, which actually very recently won an award in the Lucknow Film Festival. And 2 of them are going to be screened in our now international conference. So I've just done the English subtitles for them, and in October we are going to screen them in Paris.
Which is so amazing. I think these things are so universal in their own approach. I mean, you can take India as a base country,
yes,
but the situations are possibly same everywhere in the world.
Everywhere, absolutely.
Then you've also worked upon forming a policy for South Asia and Asia Pacific specifically called Standard Minimum Care.
Yeah.
What is that about?
See, there's a organization called Aspire, Asia Pacific Initiative in Reproduction, which is an IVF organization. And I happen to be the first Indian president of that organization, and also the first woman president. Now, these are very diverse countries. Like, we have from Australia, New Zealand, Taiwan, Japan, China, and here you have India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. There's a huge difference between the economic and other status of these countries. Now, but women and I would say couples are the same. They deserve the same. So what is it that is something which is bare minimum standard care which they should get? We can't have what people are getting in Australia, but they deserve more than what they are getting here. So we prepared a statement, minimum standard care statement, which was like a huge 250 pages of a book, which defined on how to do things where you could really optimize the results of any treatment in a low and a middle income country, and also gives insight to the doctors on what to do when.
Wow. Which is so amazing, and especially it is going to help a lot of underdeveloped countries as well, because the standards are then going to be the same. Ma'am, the life of a woman changes once she enters her pre-menopause years, and those are the few years when we need to understand her a bit more than the usual years, and I think men needs to make that little space. You have started a club for women who are 35 plus, and it is called South Asian Menopause Society. It's a phenomenal initiative.
You know, you evolve when and with age you understand. I was like 22 when I got married, and my mother-in-law was going through menopause, and she used to have a lot of mood swings, and she had a lot of problems. I never understood what was happening to her. And here actually no one in the family understood, and here is a family of doctors. Nothing was available also, at that point of time as far as the support or the hormone replacement therapies, which we say. And as I grew older, I started understanding, the more intricacies of the aging factors, and how, in fact, I myself had severe spondylitis, and I actually one day fell down in my clinic in my 40s, early 40s. Because of all the work which I was doing, I totally neglected. I stopped. I was a sportswoman. I was a, best sportswoman in the university, inter-university, when I was in college.
Wow.
And after that, once I started practice, I forgot about all exercise and all games, and I was only practicing. And I had severe cervical, thoracic and lumbar spondylitis. People just wrote me off and they said, okay, you're going to be on a wheelchair and surgery and all that. And then I went for a consultation, and I was told that, you need to exercise your back, and it was a life-changing thing for me. Now, I understood with age, women are going through a lot of things, and they forget when the children are growing up. Husband is also like very ambitious in so many challenges in career and all. By the time they realize, they're already in that pre-menopausal or post-menopausal age group, and half of the damage is done. So if we are able to, like at 35, it was very well thought of that by the time you reach 35, children are old enough, husband is also settled in career. So this is a time when you start looking after your health, if you have not really done. And then once you move forward, like nutrition, exercise, little yoga, meditation, very, very important for women's health. And along with that, see, if you are having, let's say people say calcium, khalo. Calcium is not going to get absorbed if you're not exercising, if your vitamin D is not good, if you don't have vitamin C. So all that I came to know, but how do I tell? So this Club 35 Plus was with those thoughts. So we started this club in Agra itself. I called the then president of the Menopause Societies of India to launch. She came and she said, I'm going to start it in my city, and so on. So we have more than 50 clubs right now. It's like a public awareness phase of Indian Menopause Society. After that, I became the president of Indian Menopause Society, and then the South Asian Federation of Menopause Societies. And so we started clubs in Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. In fact, the British Menopause Society invited me for a concept launch on telling them, what is the benefits and of this club, how do you do it, and maybe NHS is going to take it up one day.
Wow.
So it will happen.
Wow. I think it's another space where we need a lot of awareness about as well. मैम इतना कुछ कैसे कर लेते हैं आप? हमसे तो ना जॉब के अलावा दूसरा काम बोला जाए, हम कहते हैं अरे नहीं यार. But there is no stopping.
You know what? I always say women have a lot of potential. One is that she has to be mentally free. They undergo a lot of stress because of these small things which happen in the families, and they're not able to perform. So the first thing is, if you have support, positive support from the family, you can conquer the world. I always say, if you're holding my one hand, you would tell my husband, I'll bring the sky down with my other.
Wow.
That's one important aspect. Second important aspect is, and that's something which I learned from my in-laws and also my husband, teamwork. Delegate. You can't do it all. But whether it's practice, I may not need two assistants, but I have two assistants because I can sit here, talk with you nicely, and not stress about what is happening back home. Train people, which is again very important. And this is something which I'm trying to educate our fraternity, because doctors have this thing in their head or a mindset that only we can do it. And once they start doing everything, they'll not be able to do much. So when you delegate, you train people along, so you are able to cater to a lot, and also you're able to achieve a lot.
Absolutely. And I think you've been a very avid supporter of training the support staff at the hospitals. And women generally, They shouldn't, but they do feel guilty of not reaching out everywhere. I think this is such a good advice to everybody
Yeah.
that we need to distribute work and work as a
Absolutely.
team. Ma'am, I think this episode is going to be too less to discuss your life because I'm sure there are more stories that we can extract from you. But I think a lot of them will be part of your biography. I've got to know that you're writing one.
Yeah.
What is it called? Could you give us a little sneak peek before we end?
You know, everything is not as rosy as you have seen. There have been numerous challenges. And most of the times I felt that just because I'm a girl, these challenges were posed to me, whether it was in school, whether it was a difference between my brothers and me, and whether it was like a daughter-in-law. And later on when came the organizations, oh, why a woman in a man's world? Then, you know, why a woman after her husband has become the president of an organization, people. So there were huge number of challenges because I was a girl. So my biography, just because I'm a girl, is, you're going to read it very soon, is full of all those experiences which, you know, make women strong, because the more you pull me down, the stronger I grow.
Wow. I think this line is going to stay with me for days to come. Thank you so much, Dr. Jaideep Malhotra, for being here with us. It's a pleasure to have you. May you fly more and may you reach all the successes that you do deserve.
Thank you so much. It
ma'am.
was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.